when we say it's hot girl summer, we ain't talking about degrees. Who won't follow me? Like who don't follow me? Cause even in your new I can see a lot of me. And honestly, I'm on it cause that should be comedy. You ain't put me in no brands, but I see you proud of me. I'm just a real by that trick. I'm some real.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. This is the Glow Up with Miss Nikki. You are watching Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station there is. We are streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Make sure you like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. So today we are talking all things therapeutic. I got my girl Z in the studio, and we are going to actually get into this hot girl summer thing. We're going to actually break down what the hot girl summer is. Is it therapeutic? Do you want your therapist to look like you? So before we actually really kick into this segment, Z, just kind of tell everyone who you are and what you're all about.
All right. So thank you for having me first. I appreciate you. So my name is Zenobia Kendall Davis, and I met Miss Nikki here years ago at the psychiatric hospital that we worked at. I actually got my start through Wayne State University. I graduated there in 2017 with my master's in social work. I actually, in undergrad, was an intern at the Sasha Center. We'll talk a little bit more about them later. Yes.
Love them. Shout out to the Sasha Center.
Yes, and Kalima Johnson and Lamender Davis are two of my biggest mentors to this day. And so I started on with them as a paid co-facilitator in May 2016. And then I started at the psych facility March 2018. Now I work for an emergency department at St. Mary Mercy Livonia, and I also have a private practice that I'm currently building, Faith and Radical Self-Love. I also make candles, so it's just a lot of fun things going on.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Zenobia. So do you go by Z or Zenobia? Whatever is fine. Okay. So again, thank you for coming in. We're gonna actually really get into. I want my therapist to look like me. Okay, because oftentimes, when we're actually analyzing mental health, mental illness, the whole spectrum, how often is culture and diversity really implemented when you're actually considering treatment plans and why a person act the way they do?
Amazing question. Amazing.
Yeah.
So that really depends on, like you said, the therapist.
Mm-hmm.
There has been more, I'll say, promotion or teaching, education is the better word, for therapists of all races to have cultural competency. In fact, as me being a social worker, we have the NASW Code of Ethics, and that kind of falls into that. However, especially with things going on in the last year and a half, there's pros and cons of working with someone who's the same race as you. And so it's really important for it to be in your treatment plan if you need it, if you request it, if it's related to some of the issues. Now, technically, it's related to our life experience, all of us.
Okay.
Right? White, black, brown. But it really should be case by case instead of cookie cutter, if that answers it.
Okay, so when you say the pros and cons, I know the pros,
right?
But for those that don't, it's a ton of pros to actually working with a therapist that look like you.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll start off with the cons. What is what's wrong with working with a therapist that look like you?
I wouldn't say wrong. In fact, I pulled up just something really quick. We like to come with receipts.
Okay. She brought receipts, y'all.
But one of the things is, while you have to have boundaries as a therapist, right? Mm-hmm. Your therapist is not supposed to be your best friend, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have someone that you feel like doesn't connect to you or doesn't connect to your experiences, it depends on where your therapist comes from. So if your therapist is not from a predominantly white area, and you were the only black person at your high school and your college,
Mm-hmm.
there are some nuances that they may not necessarily understand, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so what about the pros?
Get the list.
Oh, okay. This show is only an hour. I think we can go through the pros in a couple shows.
Right. But where we'll start.
Okay.
So, having someone who understands the cultural nuances, I hate to say ebonics, but just certain codes within a household that aren't necessarily taught as much in other households. We did a promotion where it was a connection through the Delta Research Fund for Lemender, with Henry Ford. And so one of the other therapists who were on the panel brought this amazing game, and it was like the little letters. Well, get your ass in the house before the street lights come on. How many people are taught that?
I mean, well, yeah, because no, you don't. No.
And where does that
Wait, and
fear
you
come
bet
from?
not leave the porch either.
That's
You can't
right.
leave the porch if the street lights. I see you. You know, I remember growing up, like my grandmother had like this special little thing, like she would be able to look out the window out of the curtains, and you wouldn't know that she was looking at you the entire time. And then if you do something on the next block, they find out. So that part right there.
Yes. Or even just that fear of the dark. When the sun goes down, my black child is not safe. They are at risk, right?
Okay.
So even back when there were more civil rights protests and things going on to now, there's so much that happens. I'm not saying that things don't happen to other cultures, but that fear of I can't see you when the sun is down, or the other is going to come and get you if you're out in the streets when the sun is down. That is from a lot of systemic abuse and racism in itself.
Okay, and you know what? And that kind of brings me to my next point. I remember, you know, working with someone, and they were paranoid, right? We're gonna put paranoid in quotes. They're paranoid.
Yeah.
Young black man. He said that the police was following them. Well, shit, they probably were. Like, so is that considered like a psychological disorder? You tripping? You're schizophrenic. So we're about to lock you up somewhere and force you to take medication. I mean, but like, have you seen the news lately? Young black men are being killed by the police. So him being paranoid, I would think he has every right to be paranoid because they probably are watching this every move.
Yes. I started in high school at Cass Tech before moving out of the state. And when I was 16, we ain't talking about age right now, but it's a lot of years ago. When I was 16, I remember the guy, my boyfriend, right, at the time saying, I'm so glad you were with me because if you weren't with me, that police that just drove past would have stopped me. So that's not even a new issue. I think this last year and a half only proved a lot of what of us have been feeling and saying, but was being dismissed because the racism was more through microaggressions and things like that. And now it's back in your face. And so people can't say, oh, racism doesn't exist anymore because here you are.
Okay. Yeah, it does. It exists. It's here. It never went anywhere. So typically, if someone is in a crisis, they're probably like, hey, I want the hood chick to be my counselor. I want the black guy to be my counselor. I want someone that looks like me, that came from where I came from, to understand what it is that I'm going through because they've probably been there, done that.
Yes.
So like, what is your thoughts and opinion on that?
I think that if that's what you want and that's your focus, you start where you are. Then do that. Seek someone. And just because unfortunately within our community there's this dual dynamic, right? Where you have cases where it's black businesses are always ghetto, or black business they have poor customer service, things like that. But then the flip side is, especially when it comes to the medical field or mental health, my therapist or my doctor doesn't listen to me. They dismiss me. You have these insane rates of maternal deaths, like mothers dying giving birth in our community. There's so many layers to that, right? There's the history of medical abuse and research.
Post-traumatic slave disorder, right?
So much. So much. So if you feel that you would benefit from a therapist of your culture, black or, anything Hispanic, then do it. Go. Yeah.
Okay. So I know that don't quote me, y'all. Maybe I think it was 2013 when the DSM-5 dropped.
We just gonna go with it.
Okay. I think it was 13. If it wasn't 13, it was 14. It was somewhere around that the new DSM dropped, and they took out the AXO system, and it kind of made mental health look a lot different than it did maybe 10 years ago. So can you kind of speak on that?
Oh, the layers.
Well,
there's a huge variety of things, right? Not necessarily right before then, but just throughout the course of the history of the DSM. At one point, autism was combined or considered or confused with schizophrenia. You had homosexuality, as a disorder. Now there is still, if I remember right, again, gender dysphoria, but two different things, right? But it's definitely changed a lot. It's included some more of the gray to an extent. But yeah.
Yeah. So I think, okay, so for those that's watching that don't know what the DSM is, let me kind of break that down. It's pretty much the therapist's Bible, right? So can we kind of say, it's the therapist's Bible. The therapist will look at this book and determine where a person falls and how to determine which disorder they should be diagnosed as. Am I saying that right?
Yes. So
okay.
There is a diagnostic or diagnostic manual, and it's used for many medical professionals, psychiatrists, therapists, and so on. And so there's certain criteria that are listed before someone can just label you as something. That person that is in your face seeking help is supposed to meet a certain set of criteria for an accurate diagnosis. You also, and I might cause problems with this, but you also shouldn't diagnose the first session. Not hardcore diagnosis unless it's textbook black and white.
Yeah, but I mean, what would be considered textbook black and white? Because I think a lot of times people have their moments, right? Yeah. And moments are allowed. You're like, okay, you know what? My bad. I was tripping. And you wake up the next day like, you know what? I should not have, broke my man's windows out. I was in my feelings. Like, I was fed up. I shouldn't have done that.
I was on
full, man. Like, but like, seriously. But oftentimes we see, people that are being institutionalized.
Yes.
And it's their first round. It's their first crisis. It's their first experience with any type of shift, I should say, in their behavior. So, yeah, people get diagnosed the first time. Oh, okay, so you've been tripping or feeling this way for a while or whatever. But look at how our system is set up. Look at policies, politics, and whatever has a big role on that. But before I actually get into that, because that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
I want to just thank everyone for watching. You are watching live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. This is The Social with Nikki. Make sure you like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. The phone lines are open, so hit us up. The number is 313-355-6018. So again, as we were saying, like, policies, politics, how all of this interchange into shifting or molding a person's behavior. You know, how many times do you see a homeless person, you know, that's having a crisis, so to speak? Okay, well, they're suicidal. They're having suicidal ideations.
Yeah.
They're homicidal. They're on assault precautions.
Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, you're homeless, and everything you worked for has been taken away from you. So, I mean, how the hell do you expect someone to act or behave after being put in that type of situation?
So I know that you have this huge, like, I don't want to say vendetta, but
Okay.
we've talked. You are not a big fan of the system in the sense of
A little bit of it. Just, I'm kind of
yeah,
half and half.
yeah. Because the truth is, insurance or money determines treatment,
Mm-hmm.
and while it's not fair, that's how the system is. And so sometimes there's layers to that. If a person is not in crisis, actually, the email you saw me looking at before we started, if there's not enough to prove that a person needs therapy or mental health treatment, that authorization will get denied.
Mm-hmm.
And it's up to either you, the clinician, to figure it out, or you put the bill on your client, and that's not fair because then they may get put into crisis, right? So that's one part of it. The other part is, unfortunately, there's so many people who, if you believe in a spiritual system, whatever that spiritual system looks like, a person who is an outsider to that system or not aware of that system will automatically diagnose or label you, right? If you say, oh, I heard the Holy Spirit tell me play whatever, the lottery, or play this song to feel better.
So you a paranoid schizophrenic, you delusional, you psychotic, you hearing voices.
All the checks.
I mean, like, you fit every criteria there is to be considered a paranoid schizophrenic, right?
Yes. And then the other side, to kind of touch on your question too, where the purpose of the criteria for the DSM-5 is to help buffer that a little bit. Like you said, if there's a person who's homeless, who's experiencing crisis, you go through a whole biopsychosocial, right? You go through a whole, or as much as you can, if they're what we call a valid historian or a good historian, you go through their life with them. Again, depending on the therapist or the clinician, right?
Okay.
You go through their life with them, and you may discover this person has been suffering from depression since they were 5 years old when they watched their mom get killed, right? Or even, like you say, the paranoia, where it would be valid, you know, especially if that person was mom's husband, father, and there was abuse. No wonder you're paranoid. Like, your whole first 5 years of your life, you just constantly lived in fear of what would happen next. When would I eat next? Is my mom going to be alive, right? So that's the importance of the criteria, because there's also things like adjustment disorders, which in my way I word it to my clients as like a softer diagnosis. I have people who actually never needed mental health treatment or never was even interested until after a lot of the race issues came out. And so it was like, oh my gosh, like, I'm questioning my whole life, you know.
Oh, wow.
People who I thought were safe are not safe. And sometimes that's within the community. So yeah.
Okay, so we're going to kind of shift gears a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about your practice.
Yeah.
What do you do? Where can people find you? And, you know, if it wasn't unethical, you would be counseling me every day. But the way,
me in wine.
right? Yeah, I would pay you in wine and, you know, whatever. But the way ethics is set up, I cannot come. I know, right? I can't, you know, pull up on you and chill on your couch. But how can other people, like?
I love you.
I love you.
Yeah, so I know we shared the post about us recording today. My cell phone number is 313-854-5102. 313-854-5102. That is the phone number that I use for my practice. Is just you can text me, you can call me. Just give me like a day or two, show me some grace, because again, I work at the emergency department. I also still co-facilitate sometimes for Sasha Center, and I have a best friend, Chris. She teases all the time, like I'm on the highways and the byways, right? So
all over the place,
just everywhere. But my website is faithandselflove.org. On there, you can actually sign up to start an intake, read a little bit about the insurances that I take, for the what I do.
Yeah, now that's the fun part. That's the part I've been waiting for. What do you do? Why is Z so different than other therapists? And why I wish I can act like I don't know you in real life and come in.
Just start over, right?
And start over.
So I really focus on, as I was trained, what the client needs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, Kalima and Larminder, they are huge in my life. They taught me the importance of spiritual and cultural focuses in therapy. So if you need somebody to kind of go over some dreams that you think might be night terrors, but they're actually warnings, we'll do that. If you need someone to just sit there and let you color for 10 minutes while you talk about how much you hate your kids and you can't tell nobody else that because CPS might knock on your door, we can do that.
Okay.
If you want traditional textbook therapy, I do offer CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy.
Mm-hmm.
But even in the other situations or examples that I gave, we still use that because it's so important to look at your thoughts. Stop judging yourself, which me telling you stop judging yourself, if I'm doing that without helping you replace it with something else, it's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you come back? It's not going to work. Human body therapy doesn't work. So I try to, my passion, right, is holistic care, that spiritual component, whatever you believe in. I don't have to believe in the same thing you believe in. I have some clients, we don't talk about spirituality at all. I have other ones where we've talked about mediumship, we've talked about aromatherapy, candles, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. And you have a candle business. So do you incorporate your candles in your therapy sessions?
Yes, so I'm actually going through a rebranding now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping to have all the updates live by Saturday.
Okay.
It's going to be under Lenora's Light. Lenora was my grandmother who raised me.
Aww.
And one day I was like, faith and radical self-love is amazing, but it's so long. And then my candle business was Spread Love, which I loved, but it was still like,
It's
doesn't
a lot
quite.
of work.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel you.
I was like, what did my grandmother's name mean? So when we talk about spirituality, I truly believe that I was led to look it up. And her name speaks to or refers to light. And it's also my middle name. So,
oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so kind of a play on words, like Lenora's Light, both Lenora's.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's almost as if like you're just carrying on her legacy.
Big shoes. Both of my, my first name's Zenobia. She was a queen. Big shoes.
Right.
Big shoes. My grandmother, big shoes. She served so many roles in the church, Christian, Lutheran church.
Mm-hmm.
She worked until like older age. She actually went back to work to take care of me. She did Meals on Wheels, and I like some of the things that keeps me pushing is you have this older lady with this cane talking about I need to take my seniors their food. And I was like, you a senior.
like lady, sit down, right?
I loved her. So I really want to, like you say, honor her legacy, show that ancestor reverence, but also hope to be what she was to a lot of people. She touched a lot of people's lives.
Okay. How long have you had your practice?
So the practice started September of last year, so we're almost at a
year.
Yes.
Yay.
Yes, and the candles I've been doing since 2015.
That is really cool. So I want to transition into the fun part.
Uh-oh.
I know, right? So we are going to break down the lyrics to Hot Girl Summer, right? So, I have this discussion all the time, and I tell people, like, you know what? I'm feeling a hot girl summer. But, like, if you actually look at the video, and you're just like, oh, no, like, what tip are you about to be on? Not like that. Not like that. I think having a hot girl summer for me is pretty much being free,
Yes.
enjoying your life, doing what you want to do, and just having fun and being safe.
Yes. Break through those stereotypical societal barriers,
Mm-hmm.
and as long as you are not hurting someone, living your best life.
So, what about the lyrics? Let's analyze the lyrics.
You have a favorite part you want to talk about?
Let's see. Let me go on to YouTube, right? So, I don't know. Like, I do. I really like the whole song.
Oh, yeah.
To be 100% honest. Like, I really do. It was funny. I actually told my mom, was like, Mom, you have to listen to Hot Girl Summer. And she called me back. She was just like, that nasty song. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm just like, but I don't know. Okay, so let's see. I hope they can hear it. If not, don't you hate when like these ads come on and you're just like, of all times you would come on right now when I'm trying to make a point. I think it's like the second part where Nikki comes in. I love Megan too. But see, like, so what y'all think, y'all? Because he says Hot Girl Summer, we ain't talking about degrees. I think, like, that part right there is just, like, so empowering. Because if I can remember, wasn't that during the time where Megan was pretty much saying that, she go to school during the fall, the winter semester, and she break her neck. So in the summer when school is out, it's just like, you know what, whatever. It's time to vacay. It's time to hit the beach. It's time to hang out with your girls. It's time to enjoy the fruit of your labor. And she say, we ain't talking about degrees. When we say it's Hot Girl Summer, we ain't talking about degrees. So it means that you can still have fun, you can still enjoy your life, and you can still handle your business.
Yes. That work hard, play hard is so important. And when we talk about, cultural nuances, women in general are made to feel guilty for wanting to take time for themselves, for wanting to self-care, for wanting to, like you said, breathe, spread their wings. Women do not have a lot of support. Even when we talk about, trustworthy childcare, whether it's in the family or not, there's not many options to people at like a moderate or low income. And so it's so important to find some way to celebrate yourself and celebrate the hard work that you do. Especially when we talk about trauma, you when you do your healing work, the fact that you call a therapist, the fact that you journal, the fact that you whatever your work is, whether it's your healing work, whether it's your physical work for income, whether it's your school work, like you are never too young or too old to start having fun and taking care of yourself. And I feel like Black women, we do it even less, right? So it's already a women's issue, and then even we're worse. We're the worst with taking care of ourselves.
Okay. We're gonna actually take a little commercial break really quick. You are watching the Glow Up with Miss Nikki. I am Nikki. So we are streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you want to talk to us, hit us up. The phone lines are open. It is 355-6018. So kind of getting back to what you were saying, Z, how women are made to feel guilty about just living their best life, you know, and just really having that hot girl summer and having fun. Um, because you do have to enjoy the fruit of your labor, right? Because if you don't, you're gonna go crazy, and you're really gonna need a therapist because you're gonna become so overwhelmed
Burn
that the burnout, the burnout is real, especially for Black women, because we have this superwoman syndrome
Yes.
or whatever. So we think that we can do it all. We want to do it all, um, and no one can do it better than us. So, what is your opinion? What is your take on that position?
Where does it start? Where do we start? Do we start with slavery, where the woman had like the kids that was stripped away, and she had to work out in the fields, and then she couldn't enjoy her relationships, or she was forced to put herself aside to with rape, with all these other demands on her. She wasn't allowed to have or show emotions. Her job was to survive. Do we start there, or do we start with how kids are treated differently between genders, especially in our community? If a little girl is dancing, you being fast. You need to go sit your little hot tail down. If a boy is doing whatever in the street, dancing, whatever, all boys will be boys. Do we start there? Like, where would we start?
Right, the gender difference as far as how gender is looked upon, right? Like, trying to remember what was that you said? Just how women itself, women empowerment, the feminine movement. What does that look like? Is it bad if you choose to empower yourself?
It's not bad. We're taught that, and we feel guilty for it. I need to go do these things to take care of, the kids, the husband, my parents who are aging. My boss wants me to do this. Now, mind you, when we talk about work, especially if you work in a place where you are one of the few as far as race, right? There's this both pressure and realistic expectation that you have to work times 3. You have to be 3 times better. You can't be just okay if other coworkers are just okay. So there's no time to take care of myself. There's no time to go take a day off.
Yeah, and I think okay, so like do we have a caller? I don't know. If we have a caller, put them through. No. Okay. No. Okay. Guess not. Okay, so I'll carry on. Oftentimes when a woman is assertive, she's masculine, right? She's a bitch, right? So you have like a lot, like I've noticed now you have this debate between masculinity and femininity and what a woman should be, and how to play the submissive role, but to be feminine, of course, okay, like for me, for instance, like I think I'm 100% girly girl, right? But there are times where no, like if I'm in the middle of a protest, like it's nothing feminine about protesting or none of that. Just like I think it was maybe a couple weeks ago, I want to say we shut 8 Mile down, and the police surrounded us. It was everywhere. But we shut 8 Mile down. We marched on the Warren side from 80 Quinter all the way to 8 Mile and Woodward. And we marched because we was marching on behalf of racial profiling across 8 Mile, right? Now, that protest, thank God, like, no one got arrested, no one got hurt. But it could have. So, but for me, it's nothing feminine about that. But yet, it doesn't mean that I have masculine traits.
Ooh. So.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm not going to disagree because I think that everyone's path and view on masculinity and femininity is to that person. But when we talk about energy, right, feminine and masculine energy, it's not necessarily the concrete physical things that we see. Protesting can be a balance of both masculine and feminine in the sense that you are speaking out and protecting and nurturing people who are suffering, right? You're nurturing this cause. But then, like you said, that protection energy can also be more so masculine, right? That aggression that it takes to speak out and be loud and be heard, and the confidence, right, that it takes to stop traffic and not worry. We got this, right? So there's, I think that it's a little bit of both.
Okay. Yeah, because I know, because I'm on Clubhouse a lot, right?
Yeah.
And, like, there's rooms literally every single day about the masculine woman versus the beta man, right? So, it is just like... Boxes, right? Now, there are some beta men out there.
Well, here, when we talk about I'll say when I add my spiritual focus to that, right? Not just talking about when it comes to like gender identities, but when we talk about the spiritual component, everyone has masculine and feminine energy.
And as you should.
Yes. And so a lot of feminine, my nails are a little messed up, that's why I'm trying to hide my hands, but a lot of feminine men are creative and women create, right? Like the, no offense, woman-born people can procreate. They nurture and give birth to things. So it makes sense that creative energy is more feminine. When you are...
okay, I didn't think about it like, okay.
Yes. When you are protecting or standing your ground, things like that, you are more masculine, the builder, right? So it you have women who are builders. They just are.
They're builders. But a lot of times in our culture, in our hood, so to speak, you have to. You ain't got no choice. What you gonna do? It's sink or swim, right?
And if you are a man who is seen as feminine, watch out because you are in danger.
Yeah. But then it's a matter of like, if I've been holding this down forever, then yeah, I'm going to be a little aggressive. Maybe a little bitch sometimes.
Don't be the angry black woman.
Don't be the angry... Oh, yeah, the angry black woman, right?
You set boundaries with people who are angry.
Ooh, so what's up with boundaries, right? So let's get into boundaries, see? Like, you really like kicking these words out. It's just like, ooh, I feel like I'm back in social work school. Boundaries are so very important to set, and I'm learning to set them up front.
Yes.
Like, from the first conversation. Like, oh, okay, these are the do's, these are the don'ts. This could kind of be somewhere in the middle. Take it or leave it.
Yeah. I think that's one of the important things when you talk about hot girl summer.
Hot girl summer, have those boundaries.
Boundaries. Be upfront. Be honest with who you are. And if they're not a part of the team,
like in the beginning, like when she said, put it on at work and try to be the MVP.
That's right. Somebody be like, "Oh, you think you something? I sure do, and I am." My creator don't make mistakes.
Right. So you're talking about the hot girl summer, right? And you're saying that, okay, let's hope you make the team. But you got to do something to make the team.
Yes. But also, something that our community would benefit from in relationships, whether it's boyfriend, girlfriend, 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 boyfriend, boyfriend, employee, employer, mom and daughter, whatever. is communication. And so when you have a culture that survived off of silence, so many relationships struggle. And then you have this woman who's trying to learn how to celebrate herself, who's trying to learn how to stand tall, but she doesn't, I hate saying communicate effectively, but she doesn't know how to express herself and feel comfortable expressing herself and setting those boundaries. And so when men push those boundaries, pick them up, throw them, crawl under them, blow them up, whatever, she like, well, I guess we're going with what you say. And then she suffers in the long run.
And then,
sorry.
yeah, and then that's typically when the crisis start to come into play.
Yes.
Because at this point, you've had enough and you're at your breaking point. And now it's just like, sis is crazy or she ratchet. Like, all of these words are being thrown at women, right? Not understanding what it took to get there or what happened years prior to her being in this particular situation. So, like, kind of speaking on that, I know you do a lot of work with the Sasha Center, right? So I think this is kind of a segue for you to kind of talk about what you do with the Sasha Center, what they're all about, and all of that good stuff.
Well, Kalima is amazing. She's so patient with my schedule. It's ridiculous. So I mostly co-facilitate. And if anyone's interested in their website, checking out groups, community events, you want to call and register, is sashacenter.org. There's also a Sasha Center Facebook page. It has the phone number. You can email at info@sashacenter.org. And so just for those who do not know what the Sasha Center is, it is a community agency or grassroots agency that specifically focuses on sexual assault. There's women groups, there's men groups, and I know one of the facilitators is Omari Barksdale. Forgive me if I said your name wrong, but Omari is like an uncle to everybody. But there's community education. We do group therapy. We are able to now, with certain funding, be able to provide resources. It's not a crisis-specific agency. For crisis-specific on an individual basis, that would be like Wayne County Safe, who I think changed their name to Avalon, but I still call them Wayne County Safe. When I was an intern, it was Wayne County Safe, and then WC Safe, and then now it's Avalon. But with the Sasha Center, we go where we need to go. One day, Kalima was like, hey, if you don't feel comfortable, you can let me know. But I kind of want somebody to have a table for us at Mississippi Mud. We're not going to explain Mississippi Mud, but I was there.
Okay, the fact that you won't explain it, man.
That's what Google's for. And then
we gotta go to Google Mississippi Mud.
Mississippi Mud.
Oh.
Yes. Oh yeah. All of it. And we've also partnered with the DIA. So we've done art groups for people. They've done a lot of community work. There's the Mute R. Kelly. Big part in the Mute R. Kelly, where her and Nicole Denson were featured on Vice.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yes, huge work. And I actually brought, so I wouldn't forget, Tanji. So Tanji trained me when I was an intern there. And so she came back to work with the Sasha Center. She has her own business too. So I'm sorry, Tanji, if I forgot, for forgetting. But she's starting a group today. But you can call, you can register. It's 12 weeks, and it's for African-American girls 16 to 21. And so there's not a lot of teen groups that we necessarily do, and Tanji is amazing. So she's doing the Aya Healing Circle for, again, girls 16 to 21. But there's a walking group on Wednesdays now. There's the weekly hip series on Tuesdays. Like, there's so much going on now.
Okay. That's a lot of information, but yet it's so many resources that people are unaware of and don't know as it pertains to mental health in the community, right?
Yeah.
And Sasha Center is not out in the burbs, right? It ain't like
Grassroots for real.
it's real life grassroots. They are not out in Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, kicking it. They ain't doing that.
Nope. The main office is right downtown Detroit. I won't say where, just because it's the main office, but we go where we're needed. Again, the walk-in groups, even with Aya, some of the days I believe are near Belle Isle.
Mm-hmm.
There's the bike tour, like the bike tour that's usually done as a fundraiser right down the heart of. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Uh, the Detroit River Walk.
Oh, okay. I'm the same way.
Like somewhere off in that path.
Okay.
Oh yeah, when there was Delta Prep, we've done pathways in the community, the true heart of the community.
Yeah. So, y'all, the phone lines are open. I don't know why y'all not hitting us up. But the phone number is 313-355-6018. We are still live. We only have maybe a little less than 10 minutes to go. So if you have any questions, any comments, you just want to call in and kick it, then, that's cool too. Hit us up. 313-355-6018. That is the call-in number. And you are watching The Glow Up with Nikki. We are streaming live right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Make sure you like, follow, share, comment, and subscribe. This is Wjzz Cool TV, the coolest station in the world. Yeah, it is. My second show. And, thank you, Z, for breaking me in a little bit, too. Because I'm still new here.
Listen.
So
every day, especially with your heart, every day is gonna be new. Because every day you seek to learn something new, talk about something new. You like fresh and bright ideas. So it's gonna always be new.
It's always
I
new.
can't wait to watch this evolve.
I know, right? This has been like amazing. I can't believe it's almost been an hour already.
What else are you doing right now? Because you are a busy bee. Like, you're more busier than I am.
Nothing today.
Okay.
Nothing today. like at this precise moment. I think I'm gonna actually go home and, I don't know, take my makeup off, watch TV, watch Lifetime or something, and eat some ice cream. That's probably my plan for today. Self-care, right? But I am working on the human trafficking initiative that I am pushing through the churches.
Yes, I love that. Tell them, because I love that.
So I have partnered with Church of the Messiah, and we already have churches that have signed up on board. So what we're doing is we're saying you need human trafficking training, because it's one thing to go out to organizations and speak, right? I mean, they're already doing it. I'm tired of talking to them. And a lot of the organizations aren't really doing anything anyway. I'm going to say probably 95% of human trafficking organizations, they ain't about that life. Like, it's no other way to really describe that or break that down. They just not about that life. Not for real. There's very few. Shout out to Sacred Beginnings. I do want to acknowledge them with Leslie King. I am now a board member for them. So, yes. But like this initiative that we're pushing is pretty much it's implementing training and awareness inside of the churches, to faith leaders, their congregation, their youth department, because I heard they say that we have about 4,000 churches just in Detroit alone.
Right down Tire, man. You're passing 10.
Right. Are we done? Yeah, so I think we are done. This is I know, right? This is the end, and you were watching The Glow Up with Nikki, streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. Make sure you catch me live next week. Bye.